Good morning, Jamaica, and this is Tuesday. I'm used to saying Wednesday, but this is Tuesday, March 4, 2025, and we're here for a very, very special post-cabinet press briefing this morning, and I have a lot of people to acknowledge this morning, and I'll start with Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, or Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. We also have the Honorable Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We also have the Honorable Fayval Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service. The Honorable Marlene Malahoo Forte, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, and the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, State Minister in the Ministry of National Security. With us also is the Honorable Audrey Sewell, Cabinet Secretary and Head of the Public Service. We also have Ambassador Sheila Seeley-Monteith, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. We also have Denzel Thorpe with us, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We also have Ms. Debbie Salmon, Chairperson of the Women's Center Foundation of Jamaica, Ms. Novlet Howell, Executive Director of the Women's Center Foundation of Jamaica, Mrs. Sharon Coburn Robinson, Principal Director of the Bureau of Gender Affairs, and a lot of other young women are here in the audience, and as you can get from what's happening, sorry, Mr. Thorpe, P.S. Thorpe, there are a lot of women here because it is a special morning. It's a morning to celebrate all of you, and so I have to also acknowledge our members of the media who are always here, our specially invited guests, mainly our students from Carrimack and Mary Seacole Hall, or Carrimack students. This is actually an assignment. They're here for an assignment. Last week when they were here, we had another set of Carrimack students here. They were asking the reporters why they asked the questions the way they did, because it's not how they learned to do it at Carrimack. So that was very interesting conversations after postcab last week. And so we're happy to have more Carrimack students with us, and also our students from Mary Seacole Hall. Other members of the media who are here, Jamaicans watching at home and abroad, a beautiful Tuesday morning to you all. And so before we start, I usually give you a lot of the good news stories. Today I'm only going to give you one good news story, and it's a big one. And it has to do with our crime numbers. For the month of February 2025, Jamaica recorded 47 murders. Now, we need to put that in context. That is the lowest monthly count since 2000. We're in 2025. So in 25 years, this has been the lowest number of murders in a month. Now, we keep talking about what's happening with our JCF and what has happened in terms of improvements around crime. This is something to celebrate. A historic low number. It means we are going in the right direction. All the work that has been done is paying fruit. And so Jamaica, we need to celebrate this. When the numbers were going up, it was all over the place. Everybody was stressed. Everybody was talking about what's happening in the country. Now we have it going in the other direction. Let's celebrate it. And this is why I'm only giving that one good news story. That counts for 10. That this reduction that we've seen, 47 murders in 1 month, lowest since 2000. In 2000, I was in second year at UWI. That was a long time ago. I don't know, some of the young people here weren't even born in 2000. So this is a historic number, and it's a historic day, and I want you to celebrate it. In addition to that, murders are down 35% from the start of the year for January and February. What that means over last year, it's 63 less murders over those 2 months. And we can't just look at the statistics kind of dispassionately. That's 63 less people killed. 63 less mothers mourning their child's death, 63 less funerals that we have to do. It's a big deal. And so major crime is also down 25%. So overall, it's a great thing for Jamaica. It's a great morning. It's a great morning for us to be celebrating International Women's Day, which is later this week. And so each year we have International Women's Day celebrated. And this year it will be on Saturday. But we felt it was important to have a special post-cabinet press briefing that brought together all of the women that are in cabinet. And they're all here with you today, and you all see them on the news all the time. But it's important that we celebrate women in leadership. Around the world, International Women's Day is a day to speak about the need for more women in leadership. And here we have many of them here with us this morning who are just exemplary leaders. Now, each of them will be given some time to speak about things in their portfolio area. I won't go into my portfolio area. Suffice to say, I need to just say something about each of the women who are here. And the first one, from my experience, the Honorable Olivia Grange. I met her many, many moons ago when I was a young public sector worker here at the office of the Prime Minister. And she was the most warm person to me, even with her high stature. I had seen her since I was a child, watching her on TV, and then I met her, and she just embraced me with open arms. And she has continued to do that throughout the times I've had to interact with her. Last year when I became Minister of Education, the next day I saw this beautiful orchid in my office, and it was from the Honorable Olivia Grange telling me congratulations and that she is supporting me in this new role. We say women don't support each other. This is a cabinet of women who support each other, and this is the kind of example we want to set for young women, that you can support each other. You don't have to tear each other down. That's not necessary. And the Honorable Olivia Grange has shown me that and has taught me that in my own career. We also have the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Senator, the Honorable, and she's the reason that I said yes to coming into this world. This world of politics. When I saw, I have to clarify it, right? When I saw her deciding to come into this world and knowing her as a really exceptional attorney and just an exceptional person, and to see her want to serve her country in this way and to go up against a lot of negativity at times and battles in the Senate, and I saw it, and I would occasionally send her a little note and saying, you have a lot of people supporting you. And I saw her do it. And because I saw her do it, I knew that when I was asked to do it, I could do it because I saw her do it. And that's why representation is so important. You want to see women in these high positions because it inspires other women. It doesn't seem so strange anymore. And so I thank her for her example, and she's just an excellent leader of government business in the Senate. I learn every day from her, and she is an exceptional Minister of Foreign Affairs. I think the entire world has seen that, and so I thank her too. And then I'm going to go to our first woman who has ever been appointed Minister of Finance and the Public Service. We've never had a woman be Minister of Finance, and the Honorable Fayval Williams broke and shattered that ceiling that was there. And she is just wonderful in her calmness. I don't have any doubt about her economy in her hands. And I remember we switched, she gave me her position when she was elevated, right? And I remember my first night as Minister of Education, she called me that night and she said, how was your day? How did it go? And I appreciated that call so much, Minister Williams. And again, I say, we support each other. And that's the way it really should be. And then we have the former Attorney General, the person who has brought constitutional reform onto the agenda, the Honorable Marlene Malahoo Forbes. And I remember I remember when one of my mentors used to talk about her a lot. She used to say, oh my gosh, Marlene is just absolutely brilliant. She is so wonderful. I wonder why she went into politics. But she went into it because she really felt this was how she could contribute to her country. And I am very appreciative for what she has done, especially in the constitutional reform work, because that is so important for us to feel that sense of our identity being really espoused. And us saying, look, we can set our own constitution. We can have our own president. This is what she's saying. She's saying we're good enough as a people to be self-reliant and do things ourselves. And so she, in her tireless advocacy, despite everything that everybody says, and I see it in cabinet all the time, she is always willing to stand up for what she believes. And it is fabulous as an example. Young ladies who are here, she is a perfect example of what it means to really stand powerful in who you are and what your beliefs are and pushing your country forward. And then I have someone who I admired all the time and was on my TV and I would jump up and down, and who brought so much joy to Jamaica in her days of running for our country and representing our country, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn. And that was one, too, that again shows you that no matter how much you've given to your country, there's still more you can do. Because she brought so much joy. She brought so much esteem to our country in what she did. She didn't have to do any more. But she decided that wasn't enough. Yes, I've given a lot to my country, but there's more I can do. And I am going to come into this world of politics, which is hard for women, and say, I am going to represent my people. And she is an excellent member of parliament. And she's an excellent person in her ministry. Dr. Chang, our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, he relies on her a lot. And he has nothing but good things to say about you. And so I'm grateful that you've decided that even after giving so much to our country, there's more that you could give. And that's an example to all of us. Anything we can do for our country, we need to do it. And so those were my comments. I don't have anything on my area. And obviously I have to acknowledge the first woman who was Cabinet Secretary. Audrey Sewell, the Honorable Audrey Sewell, is here too. And she sits in cabinet and she kind of reins us in a lot. And so her role is very, very important. The cabinet secretary role is really critical. And she's another one for any of the ministers. Anything we need to know about government, how it works, whether or not this is a good move, not a good move, because she's been in government for so long, she knows it. And she never shies away from giving us advice. She will call me after a difficult day too and say, Minister, I'm praying for you. And those are just wonderful things. And so as I end and I call our First Minister, I just want us to again acknowledge these wonderful leaders in our country. It is so important to have women at the head, and it's even more important to have women of the integrity that these women represent in our country. And so for the young women who are here, I hope you get a chance to speak to some of them and that you will be inspired in your own work to do what they have done in taking care of this country in the way that they do each and every day. And so I welcome our first guest, who is Senator, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith.
Thank you so much, Dana, for your kind words, your never-failing encouragement, and most importantly, perhaps for bringing us together this morning and for conceptualizing this special post-cabinet press briefing at such an important time as we inch towards International Women's Day. You make an excellent point when you say across the world, gender empowerment, gender equality, the empowerment of women and girls. These are matters spoken about in fora far and wide, and it is always, always a source of very, very great pride for me that we are doing a lot of that here already. What countries are speaking about, seeking to do, we are doing it. All battles not won, but we have achieved so much more than so many others, and it is a source of great pride for me. On the note of pride, I am proud to be here as part of this incredible group of women this morning. I am proud to call Assistant Cabinet colleague Babsy Grange, who is an icon in so many sectors of Jamaica. You are the best Minister of Culture, the best Minister of Entertainment, the best Minister of Sports, and the best Minister of Gender ever. And then put together, it gives us that much more pride in your abilities, your connection with your communities and your constituency. You have a challenging constituency, but you have always led with an unequivocal sense of yourself and have really, what's the word? But you have demonstrated what it is to be a woman in leadership from when you may have been one of a much smaller number. So absolutely, you have not only walked through the doors, you have opened it, and you have kept the doors open for all of us, and we respect that very, very much. To also be here sharing space with the first female Minister of Finance and the Public Service, which is a fact I don't think we celebrate enough. Thank you, Dana, again for bringing it up, because it is phenomenal. And when Minister Williams was switched to this portfolio, you just felt that she was in her space. She was in the space of great comfort with her numbers, with the economy, with the issues that need to be managed in her very clear, integrous, and methodical way, as is required for a Minister of Finance. So we are extremely proud of you, and we hope everyone will be tuning in to watch the first female Minister of Finance present her maiden budget on the 11th of March at 2 p.m. Be nowhere else. If you can't be in Parliament, be on the TV watching it PBCJ live, right? Excellent. Minister Grange is seated beside Minister Cuthbert Flynn, who, as you have just heard, not only a former Olympian, but she brings that steel spine to the ministry. And when she was at the Ministry of Health, she made an impact, a heavy mark there, bringing compassionate leadership in every sphere. And I want to just say how much I commend your strength as a parliamentarian and as a minister, and say I respect you 100%. And have you seen her biceps? Hashtag goals, hashtag goals. Minister Malahoo Forte, you have just heard amazing things about, but she just lends her absolute mastery of procedural matters and legal analysis to this massive project that we have before us of constitutional reform. This is historical times we're living in, you know, people. We're listening and we're looking and we're seeing it, because this is somebody who is right beside me. They can, I'm taller than them, I'm shorter than them, somebody I can see, but history-making times. And I think sometimes we lose a little bit of that sight, but you're doing phenomenal work, Minister, so continue. We are all behind you. And of course, Minister Dana, who has so many incredible skills that really the Prime Minister could put her in any ministry. He has switched her twice already, and she has been phenomenal at all, because she brings a multifaceted set of skills to the cabinet, and really would do well in any space, and is excelling, bringing another type of energy and another set of eyes to the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and Skills, and ensuring that the digital space comes into everything that we do. CabSec, you are the first. You are the first female cabinet secretary, and I am proud to be part of the cabinet which you oversee. And I am also very proud to be part of an administration that has also appointed the first female Chief of Defense Staff, and where we have a strong women, peace and security agenda across the world. She is the chair of the Women, Peace and Security Heads of Military Network across the world. She just took it from Sweden. 60 militaries are part of that, that network, and she is the chair. Our Jamaican, only one of only 2 women who lead militaries across the entire world. Yes, so even though she's not here with us, We've also recognized that although we haven't had a female police commissioner yet, we have women flourishing at high levels in the constabulary, at levels and in numbers as never before. And we have to celebrate that as well and recognize that this is part of the process. And I'm going to just speak a little bit about my ministry now. We, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, I'm very proud, together with my female permanent secretary, my indefatigable and indispensable Ambassador Sheila Sealy-Monteith, who really I could do nothing without. And I would love if you could join me in giving her a round of applause. Thank you. Because together we have 23 out of 28 senior managers at the ministry are female. Out of our 19 missions and consular postings overseas, 10 are headed by women, and the same number are deputies, not necessarily matched. When I had the privilege the other day to walk 2 young ambassadors for the day, and you will hear more about them next week, and walk them along the wall of former foreign ministers, and all you see is facial hair and mustache and beard, and meaning the wall is all male because all of the previous foreign ministers were male. And I was able to introduce them to the leadership of the ministry, and they were almost entirely female. And we spoke about the fact that it wasn't always this way. But what we have been able to do is foster an environment where our skills, which are naturally lent towards effective diplomacy, have been allowed to flourish and grow in a space where they are used for Jamaica's phenomenally effective diplomatic engagements globally. This is something of which I am immensely proud, and I'm really therefore very grateful to have the opportunity to speak about this, because it enhances how I feel about the fact that I am part of an administration that was responsible for the first female member of parliament, Iris Collins. We also were responsible for the appointment of the very first woman to chair a political party within the Commonwealth, Jamaica, Madame Rose Leon. She was also the first female to be a member of a cabinet in Jamaica. We also appointed the first female Minister of Justice and first female Attorney General in Dorothy Lightburn. So there is so much we have done, and we're also part of the parliament that has the largest percentage of women in Jamaica's history. What a wonderful time to be a woman in Jamaica. So there's a lot for the young women here to look forward to aspire to. It is there. There is no escape from hard work. The thing is, none of us have gotten these positions because we're a woman. We are here because we work. We work. We know our work. We are committed to Jamaica. We are committed to full 24-hour days dedicated to Jamaica land we love. And nothing more and nothing less is what will get you to where you need to be. Now, many of us have to speak, so thank you very much for listening. Happy International Women's Day when it comes.
Thank you very much, Minister Johnson-Smith. And we now have, or you heard it many times, our historic first woman Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honourable Fayval Williams.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Looking forward to Ash Wednesday tomorrow. All right, allow me to begin by acknowledging my colleague ministers, starting with Senator the Honourable Dana Morris-Dixon, conceptualizer of this idea, and I have to say the fearless leader of our post-cabinet press briefing. And I know it's no easy task to stand there. I did that for a little while. And I understand you have to know so much about everything, and so much is expected of you, but you have risen to the occasion. Thank you for being there to represent us. And of course, I have to acknowledge Minister Grange, I sit beside her in cabinet now that I'm the Minister of Finance and the Public Service. We changed positions, but that's where I am right now. And a little known fact is that the stadium is right across the street from my constituency. So you can imagine the pressure that I put on Minister Grange for tickets for all these events. My constituents put it on me, I put it on her. And she's always so gracious. She'll always call me up. I've got a few more tickets for you. Thank you, Minister Grange, thank you. And I agree with everyone else. Minister Grange, you're an icon. Absolutely, yes. Let me acknowledge as well Minister Juliet Cuthbert Flynn. And I know she sits behind me in Parliament, and I can depend on her to be the bulldog. But just to be there to support, because when you stand up to speak, to hear your colleague MPs in the back kind of, acknowledging, saying, yes, it really is good. It gives you strength while you're making your presentation. And of course, the Honorable Marlene Malahoo Forte. And I agree that Marlene has put constitutional reform just in the forefront of everybody in Jamaica. Who would have thought constitutional reform was sexy? It is. And it's good. I'm sure across the education system, our children are learning a lot about the country's history, about how it's governed, but also they are learning that we can decide the course of our country. And Camina, the runner, she didn't tell you that, but she is an avid runner, yes. Just on the world stage representing Jamaica, and she does so flawlessly. Yes, we're happy to have her. Let me acknowledge all our permanent secretaries who are here this morning. You have no idea how much work our permanent secretaries do across our ministry. Their position is, I can't even begin to tell you just the demands on their time, what's expected of them, and they always make their ministers look good, getting them the information, presenting everything. But let me back up a bit. CABSEC, looked like I sailed over your head. But I want to especially acknowledge you as well, our first female cabinet secretary, and as was said earlier on, one that really helps us because you have such a depth of knowledge across different ministries, across government, and we appreciate it very well. So I feel honored to be here today at this very special all-female post-cabinet press briefing. As the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, I lead a portfolio that I believe is at the heart of Jamaica's economic management and national development. As you heard earlier on, I will be presenting for the first time the budget for Jamaica next Tuesday. And I am really looking forward to presenting the budget to the people of Jamaica. This government has been a very responsible government, and we will again demonstrate that next week. So the efforts on a day-by-day basis focuses on monitoring, maintaining fiscal discipline, ensuring that everything we do is geared towards not only meeting targets, but also considering the lives of all Jamaicans out there. It goes beyond balancing the books. And I believe that my leadership in government is fueled by a commitment to service to my country and to the people of Jamaica. I just want to say, long before I came into the politics, I volunteered to be the president of my community association. And I know a lot of people shy away from service, and at the time I didn't know it, that it was the ideal preparation for a position as a member of parliament. The community was just a microcosm of a constituency, yes. And so I want to say to all our ladies, all the women, young girls growing up, service is good. Service in your schools, in your classrooms, when you're in tertiary institutions, in your community, because it gets you interacting with persons from all walks of life. It builds your own character. It helps you to remain grounded. And so I would encourage that. I'm not going to say it is the way into politics, but it's, I'm just giving the example of my life as well. Let me acknowledge, which I didn't do, all the women who are here this morning in your own right. You are beautiful, you're leaders in your sphere, and I want you to continue to be that way, and to be positive in all things. I want all women across Jamaica to know that your voice matters and that your engagement is necessary and invaluable to building the great Jamaica land we love. So to every female listening, know that ambition is not personal, it is national, it is global. Our country needs you, and so let's accelerate action together. Let us continue to build a better Jamaica. Let us continue to build on what we have and to move forward with velocity. And in this position that I occupy, know that I will be carrying the voice of women, women's issues as well, Minister Grange. And as I look at the budget, I want every woman to be reflected in that budget as well. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was so beautiful. And that's why representation matters, because as a woman, she understands our issues, and she has said it, women will be reflected in the budget. And that is why we want more women like her stepping up to the plate, because it's really very important. I have to acknowledge a few persons before we move on who are here with us. There is Troyan Anderson, Miss Universe Jamaica East, who is here with us. There's Jada Wright and Julian Wright. Jada is probably our youngest ever student in a tertiary institution. She is absolutely brilliant, and she is here with her mother. We also, thank you. She's going to do fantastic things in life. She's going to be amazing. We also have Dr. Nadine Spence with us, and I know she runs a lot of things at the University of the West Indies, but most importantly, her role at Mary Seacole Hall, and a key, important gender activist in our country. Welcome, Dr. Spence, women's rights activist. All right. Sharika Spence is here, and she's the president of the I'm Glad I'm a Girl Foundation. It's a really lovely day to have all of you here. We also have some Jamaica House fellows with us. We have Davarine Gaynor and Michaela Richards, who were selected to help our ministries because of their brilliance, and they went through an extensive interview process to be selected, and there's also Antoinette Dennis there too, and so it's good to have them here. I'm going to move on to a woman who had scared me, and let me tell you why. Many years ago, I decided that I wanted to get fit. And you tell your husband, honey, I want to get fit. And he says, oh, I saw someone on social media and I think you should go to her. And I said, who is that? And he says, Juliet Cuthbert. And I was like, okay. So I went on and I looked at what happened and I said, no, I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. It's too hard for me. And since I've gotten to know her in this political world, she has told me that she has training on a Saturday morning. And I still haven't gotten the courage to go on a Saturday morning to go and train with her, but hopefully I will build up the courage one day to be able to train with her. But she's someone who I respect a lot and someone who I really hope to be like in many ways in terms of her commitment to developing yourself, because when you're healthy, you're able to be a better leader. And that's really what she is also showing us. And she's just phenomenal in her work. And so I ask you to welcome the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn.
Thank you so much, Minister. Of course you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Of course, all I do is bully the people that come to boot camp. Yeah, I just shout at them, and they fall in line. But it's really great to be here amongst everyone this morning. We know that International Women's Day, of course, we're celebrating that today, but it's really on the weekend. But it's a pleasure to be here with my fellow ministers and all the persons online watching us this morning at this post-cabinet briefing held in recognition of International Women's Day. This is my first time. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. As you know, I'm not in cabinet. I'm a state minister. But I support my minister, as you heard. And while this is not the official observance, as stated, today provides a very important opportunity to reflect on the progress that we've made as a nation in advancing gender equality and also to create opportunities for women to thrive, as we all are thriving. This year's theme, we know it's Invest in Our Women, Accelerating Progress, and that, of course, reminds us that we must uplift our women and entire families and communities. And that's what we've been hearing so far this morning, as far as all the ministers, saying good things about our female ministers in the Parliament. As the first woman appointed as state minister in the Ministry of National Security, I recognize as well that this is a significant moment, not just for myself, but for all the women who are breaking barriers in traditionally male-dominated field. And as I stand here this morning, I have to say, Minister Dana Dixon, everybody, we look forward to your 5 good things that you have to tell us about what's happening with Jamaica and how we're moving forward. We really admire you. Of course, Auntie Babsy, we love you, yes. And Minister Malahoo Forte said beside me that, we keep mentioning icon. It's time for us to state that she is. We know that you've been in this political arena for a very long time and endured a lot, quite a bit. When's the book coming out? Soon? Okay. And so we're looking forward to that, but you are very special to us in the Parliament. We look up to you. You are, as you said, the minister of everything. She manages all of her portfolio very well, and we admire you and we love you. Minister Marlene Malahoo Forte, she's a little dynamo. And she knows how I feel about her. But when she stands up in the Parliament to talk about the Constitution and justice, my ears just perk up and I'm listening to every single word and feel so very proud of her. Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith, when I first came to you, and you have a beautiful, where your ministry is now is absolutely beautiful. If you get a chance, right there in the waterfront to just look out and just very serene. But when I walked through the halls as you were talking about, I was like, so they were just men. And so, we have to commend you. And when you are on the world stage, can I just tell you, just proud. Yes, very proud. Minister Fayval Williams, I recall when we were coming into the political arena, 2 little neophytes, myself and you. And of course, everybody, a lot of people thought, of course, politics, I guess, had a had a face, and apparently she did not fit that face, like, you know, not for the political arena. But I must say that I watched you grow into this political field, and you have really embraced it. As you said, you had your little learning curve being the president of an association. And so, you know, I myself was not the person to really come into politics. A lot of people were wondering, why did I throw myself into this game of politics, because it can be so nasty. But I have to say, service is what I think about each day when I want to possibly give up. But, you know, I have to say I've watched you grow, and congratulations. We're very proud of you in this post as the first female finance minister. Very proud of you. Our cabinet secretary, thank you so much. You've served us well, and we are also very proud of where you're sitting now with our women in the cabinet. My portfolio as Minister of National Security, it covers the Department of Correctional Services, and I want to take this opportunity just to highlight the work that we have been doing to rehabilitate and also to reintegrate offenders into society. Our approach is not just about incarceration, it is also about restoration and transformation. We know that Jamaica's recidivism rate is about 41%, and meaning that nearly half of those who are released eventually return. And to break this cycle, our government has been very proactive in implementing a series of initiatives that's designed to rehabilitate our inmates and to successfully reintegrate them into society. This last year, we introduced a groundbreaking nursery at the South Camp Adult Correctional Facility. And of course, let me say, this is the first, yes, in the Caribbean. This nursery, it provides a safe and supportive environment for babies born to incarcerated mothers, yes, allowing for essential mother child bonding. And I thought that was really important. When I toured the facility, thank you, when I toured the facility, I recognized that there was a mom who had just given birth. And of course, you can imagine the cramped space. And for the baby, we have to think about the child. The infant was not asked to be there. And so a 3-room facility was built thereafter for these incarcerated mothers and for their child to bond. And we also thought that that would be really good for the reintegration process for the mothers and baby. In our continued effort to support inmates transitioning back into society, we recently opened Tower Street Hostel, and this space is dedicated housing facility for inmates who have served their sentences and are preparing to leave to get back into society. And, you know, they're being put to work and come back inside, of course, and then release thereafter. In our juvenile correctional facilities, we have made skills training, Minister Dixon, skills training mandatory for our juveniles, and with a strong focus on literacy and numeracy. Many of our young wards have not only improved academically, but they've also, you know, we're able to actually have them go through the CXC examination and receive really good passes. Providing with the right opportunities, rehabilitation, we believe, is very possible for these youngsters. In our adult correctional facilities, you know, they're adults, we can't make them, but we have provided skills training as well to ensure that inmates can leave with valuable employable skills. And some of these skills, of course, literacy and numeracy is very important for them. We have quite a number of inmates coming in who are not literate. And so we make sure that is paramount. Barbering is one of the skills. truck driving, animation, yes, farming, yes, and they feed themselves, woodwork and tailoring, sewing and embroidery. Even for one of the females, they made me this really nice, sexy outfit. Yes, I had it on for Jamaica Day last year. Crochet, two-piece, you know. So they're really, you know, we're really making sure that they're doing things that they enjoy while incarcerated. And last year, there was, and I hope this year will be the same and persons will come out and support. Last year we hosted the Department of Correctional Service Expo, and that was at the National Arena. And yes, you didn't know. Well, we're going to make sure that it is advertised much better this year so persons can come out, because there's someone who's incarcerated that paints, and I'm telling you, I have two lovely pieces that I bought from this correctional facility expo last year. And so these are some of the things that we are doing. We're also making significant strides in the development of a new National Correctional Service Policy. So I'm going to ask my fellow cabinet ministers to, when it comes to your attention, please do the right thing. At this point, it already went for public consultation, and it is currently being reviewed by the policy team to make sure that we have everything in order. And once finalized, this policy will be submitted to Cabinet for approval, ushering in a new era of corrections and rehabilitations for Jamaica. And so while we work to reduce recidivism, we also recognize that the true progress requires what? A proactive approach to crime fighting. You heard the numbers earlier. The lowest crime that we've seen, murders that we've seen in the month of February. Last year we ended with a 19% decrease in our murders. And so we are making sure that we're not just fighting it on that end, but we are being proactive to prevent the crime from happening. And so in our special zones of special operation, we have introduced after-school programs, animation, robotics, sports to engage the young people minds, to keep them away from the negative effects and negative influences. We have Shoop Hoop. We have a program, Shoop Hoop Not Guns Initiative, and that is using basketball and sports as a tool for mentorship and also teaching conflict resolution among our youths. The Ministry of National Security, also we have a musical instruments in school, and I know Minister Chang is not here, but he really likes that program, yes. He really pushes that program. So it's a musical instrument in school campaign, and this provides musical instruments to schools right across the country, helping young people to express themselves positively and also to gain constructive outlets, for their energy. The VPP, Violence Prevention Partnership with the UK, is another initiative that we've taken on. This is aimed at addressing some of the root cause of crime and to strengthen community resilience. This partnership provides critical funding to examine violence prevention and also to enhance numeracy and literacy. And we have that interministerial school policy. Ministry of Education is a big part of this program. And so, we have to join up and to make it work. And so we've also hosted a parenting class. Yes, we're doing a lot. We're also hosting parenting classes. Our case managers, I have to say kudos to them. They are working very hard with our students across the different schools in the zones. And so we have really ramped up increase our case managers and our social workers to work with our students. The Live Good campaign that we've all heard about, yes. And this national campaign, it encourages Jamaicans to embrace peace, make positive changes, and to reject violence in a whole of society approach in crime prevention, reminding every individual that security is everyone's responsibility. And so, as I wrap up, as we celebrate International Women's Day, I want to let us reaffirm our commitment to building a Jamaica where every woman and every citizen has the opportunity to thrive regardless of their past, whether through supporting incarcerated mothers, expanding skills training, or reducing recidivism. Our work is driven by a singular mission, which is to create a safer, stronger, and more inclusive Jamaica. And so I want to encourage every sector of society, government, businesses, and community to play a role to accelerating progress in rehabilitation, reintegration, and fostering opportunities for all Jamaicans. Thank you, and when it comes, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Minister. She said this is her first time at Post Cab. It's clear that she needs to be here more often. So I will be speaking to the Deputy Prime Minister because that was really good. And again, that shows you why we want women at the helm, because women experience the world differently and advocate for different kinds of policies, like or women who are pregnant and incarcerated, and thinking about that and thinking about the skills training. And so, Minister, that was very, very good. I think you could do your own top 5 based on what you just presented to us. And so I'm very glad that you were able to join us this morning. And so next up, we have our person who made constitutional affairs sexy again. That's what we heard earlier. And so please welcome the Honorable Marlene Malahoo Forte.
Thank you, Dana. I think by now everyone present here is getting a sense of how excited we are to work with each other. And you understand that we cheer each other on, and it's not just a show. It's such a privilege to be part of this team. When Juliet got up, I was recalling how we had worked together when the Jamaica Labour Party formed opposition. The then leader or current Prime Minister had the brilliant idea that he would select not only main shadow ministers, but a second tier of shadow ministers. And this is what is happening today. So you have the cabinet ministers, and you have Minister Cuthbert from the Council of Ministers. And that's actually provided for in the Constitution, eh? Because Section 69, no, seriously, but I call Juliet Pepper because she is hot. Hot, hot, hot. And you may not all recall, but she and I as a team, along with colleagues, actually succeeded in relieving the then Minister of Health from his post as Health Minister when I served as Shadow Minister over mishandling of important matters dealing with dead babies. Juliet and I were the team. But you know, as I listened to my colleagues, as thinking that the things that I'm deeply interested in are the kind of things that make you unpopular, and sometimes you can feel isolated. But I want to tell you about this team that I'm a part of. Led by Prime Minister Holness, he creates a space for all of us to make our unique, authentic contribution. And colleagues, we create an atmosphere where we speak candidly about the things that matter to us, what has brought us into political service and into public life, and the contribution that we hope to make. And we speak about our collective dream for a better Jamaica and the privilege that is afforded us to hold formal places of authority in the ministerial offices and the parliamentary offices that we hold. And so I was thinking about what really brought me to the table. It's no secret that I'm inspired by justice, and I'm also inspired by mercy. And I have a very strong sense of right and wrong. I have a very strong moral compass, and sometimes when you present it that way, people will think that you're self-righteous, or you think you're better than anyone else, and who do you think you are? And when you're asked to lead a legal portfolio, and you have to remind that there are actually rules and laws which constrain, and that you are not free to do it as you wish, sometimes you incur the wrath of others. But I'm so grateful for colleagues who constantly bear with me. And when we bring our unique perspectives, you know, we ponder and we think. And if when we share with each other, emotions are evoked, as they normally are as human beings, we step back and we ponder and we come back. Because this team understands, this team understands that it is a privilege to serve. And our team leader walked in. Let me tell you something about him. He knows that I observe him very closely, very, very closely. Prime Minister Holness is so mild-mannered, it's unbelievable. He is so conciliatory, it's unbelievable. With all the pressure that he comes under from his very strong-willed cabinet members, especially the women, he listens with a heart that cares. And I have to say that I'm so proud to be led by my Prime Minister and party leader. And he knows that what keeps me at the table is his commitment to work to do right and do better by Jamaica. Because we choose Jamaica, and we choose to serve, and we do not take the privilege for granted. Now, I'm told that we will break to allow the Prime Minister to speak, but I really want to tell you that sometimes, you know, when we are public figures, we become beating stick. Not only are we the repository of the hopes of the nation and the people, but we're also the repository of their frustrations. But believe me, Jamaica's leadership is in good hands with Prime Minister Holness and this team. We're not perfect, but every day we seek a better understanding of what is required of us to serve the people. And so when the Prime Minister said that, you know, we have set so many national goals to further the cause of independence, we have never been short of ideas, but we have an implementation deficit. He says we're going to work through the challenges. It doesn't matter how often we appear to fail, we're going to continue to work through the challenges. And ladies and gentlemen, today we see a Jamaica that has emerged and is emerging. We have seen so many things that we have accomplished over the last 9 years that we thought were beyond our reach. And boy, when I tell you there is commitment to always do right by the people. There was a time when I would go home every Monday and I'd say to my husband, boy, I don't know if I can really manage this political work, you know. I really don't know. And then he would say, you know, I told you that you would have been better in the other branch of government. His own bias for that branch. But he said, today I actually see progress on some of the issues that are of concern to me. So let me wait until next week and I'll see what happens. And every week I would go home and we would debrief, and I would mark progress. And this is 16 years later. 16 years later. Can you imagine, Prime Minister? So, for me, no, I work across all of government, and I make the link right across and almost close the circle. So, government, I say, is not a one-man show. We seek office and we serve politically to be part of the leadership of government. But government is not limited to the political directorate, important as the political directorate is. Government is arranged across ministries, departments, and agencies. And portfolios are assigned with a subject matter, with laws that relate to the subject matter, and the institutions that relate to the subject matter. And believe me, that is what the Constitution provides for. And so it's important for everyone to understand that when we make representation or when we make policy at the level of cabinet or we pass laws in the parliament, they have to be implemented, they have to be enforced. And that the work of government is actually assigned to officials who have a formal role. Every time the budget is presented, we have the Public Service Order, which sets out all of the offices in the public sector and all of the offices in the civil service. And every office has a function and has responsibility. So we in the political directorate cooperate and collaborate with other parts of government to get the work done on behalf of the people. And if one part of government is not working well, the people will not be served as well as they should. And this is something that Prime Minister Holness has recognized, and that is why the reform of government is so important to him. And it's not just reform for the sake of reform, but it's reform to serve the people better and to unlock the potential of Jamaica. Because as a team, we are honored to be part of the leadership of Jamaica. And we say many of us have the option to work in many different places, but we choose Jamaica. We choose Jamaica, and we're bringing the best of our talent to work on behalf of our Jamaicans. So, when we gained independence in 1962, our Constitution came into being. The Constitution was formulated here in Jamaica, but it came into effect in the United Kingdom. And it came in a form that was cloaked imperially. That is the Order in Council. We call it an imperial cloak. And what was formulated in Jamaica, debated in the parliament in Jamaica, became just an appendage to that cloak. And the process that we're going through now is to decloak the Constitution, because the attainment of nationhood is not insignificant. And when we chose Jamaica as opposed to a federation, interestingly, the Labour Party was front and center of that process. Now, I'm going to take my seat shortly, but I want you to know that there is an important link between the political party and government. and that's a constitutional matter. Now, citizens organize and they come together and they form political parties and then they campaign for office. And the political party that wins when elections are called forms government. And out of that, you get a prime minister who is the leader of government. I wonder if you understand the link. I want you to understand it so that you get an appreciation that the practice of politics is nothing dirty, and you shouldn't view it that way. It's an integral part of our democracy. And so, good politics, for me, is about good government. So if you hear that you are good at leading government, then you should pause and make the link. Make the link. I want to tell you that the work to reform the Constitution will continue. It has been made very difficult in a context where some dishonor agreed goals, national goals, because they want it their way or the highway. But you never get to wish away your context. And Prime Minister Holness understands that we can't take for granted the privilege that is given to us to serve. And the privilege is not personal privilege. It's a high seat of responsibility that has to be used well. So we are pressing on because we see the potential of Jamaica. And we are working to unlock the potential. So to all of you present in the room, all of you who are part of this important work, I'm asking you to show up at your best always. All of us are broken in some way, but the less broken will have to help the more broken. And whatever work is assigned to you in government or in the wider society, I want you to take it seriously. Because Minister Johnson-Smith, you are right. This is history-making time. We read of those who went before us, and it is my hope that those who come behind us will find us faithful. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. Be assured that this is the winning team. Be assured that when you're part of a team, you see, you have to respect your team leader. You have to be inspired by your leader. You have to share the vision of your leader. And the vision of our leader for a better Jamaica is crystal clear. The support we get from each other is unspeakable. And I'm just so honored to be part of this team. So if you report on nothing else, this is what I'd like you to report on. That Team Jamaica Labour Party administration is strong. That we are committed to working in the best interest of Jamaica. That we have a cadre of women who bring unique perspective to the table. And that we have a male leader who gives us room to make our contribution. We are committed to serving you. And we are committed to doing right by you and to doing better by you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. And I know that we're a bit behind time, but we're going to continue the Love Fest. PM, we have to acknowledge you. I know, I have to just acknowledge you since he came in, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the man who appointed all of us. And it's been a wonderful morning with us really supporting each other. And we obviously have saved the best for almost last. Someone who we've called an icon. All of us this morning have referred to her as an icon. She is the person whose shoulder we stand upon, because for us to be able to stand in these positions, someone had to have done it first. Someone had to have opened doors for us. And it is so amazing when you get to work with an icon who continues to open the doors for you and just holds your hand as you go through this leadership journey. And so it's an honor for me this morning to welcome the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange, an icon to all of us.
Thank you so much. Introduction almost longer than my presentation. Good morning, Prime Minister. How are you this morning, sir? Very good, very good. I'm going to try not to be long. But since this is about gender, and it's my portfolio, I think I'm at liberty to be a little, right? Got permission? It's really my honor and privilege to be. I'm standing in this room, and I remember those days. This was the cabinet room. I feel like I've been here forever. But I don't look it, right? But I just want to say to the Prime Minister that we appreciate the fact that you have displayed confidence in us as women, and that you follow in the footsteps of the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, who actually said if you want a man's job done, you give it to a woman. He said we have fixivity or something like that, you know. We're focused and we get things done. Doesn't mean the men don't, but there's just something special about us women. And thank you, Prime Minister, for appointing so many women, historic, so many women appointed to the cabinet. And you've led a team that has elected the largest number of women ever in politics. For my colleagues who are here, my colleague women ministers, Juliet, I'm going to get your denim for you, your deputy super cop, right? Fayval, Prime Minister, I must say that sitting next to me, the former Minister of Finance, I found it very advantageous because I could whisper in his ears and look in his eyes. Now, the first woman Minister of Finance also sits next to me. I don't have to look into her eyes, I just have to whisper in her ears. And we connect. But I really want to just use the opportunity to publicly congratulate Minister Williams. And we're looking forward to your presentation in Parliament. I must make mention here of my colleague Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith. She grew up in a political family. Her father, Anthony Johnson, God bless his soul, contributed tremendously to the development of this country, and Kamina has followed in his footsteps. When I first met her, she was nice and calm and angelic, and today politics has made her steel-like and focused in what she does. I also want to acknowledge the Cabinet Secretary, who I don't know how many of you know, but I think she probably at the level been the longest in government, Jamaican government, because she started at Heart when Heart was first established. And she worked herself through ranks, through the system, and she's now the Cabinet Secretary. I'm so, so proud of her. Marlene, you're special. I know the Prime Minister will agree with me. Marlene does not give up. And when she finishes making her point, you have to admit, she had a point. So I'm really happy and proud to be a part of this wonderful team. And of course, Dana, the newest kid on the block, she has come with vim, vigor, vitality, youthful exuberance, used in another place at another time, but I want to add to it, youthful exuberance and skills. So I want to thank you, Minister, and all my colleague ministers, and the Prime Minister. Good morning, everyone. I should begin with a brief overview of the plan for International Women's Day, which will be commemorated on the 8th of March. This year, we have decided to make this year's event a celebration of Jamaican women, and so we're asking the nation to celebrate, to acknowledge, to big up, and inspire our women and their contributions to Jamaica on International Women's Day. This is something that we should do as part of our daily routine, but International Women's Day is an occasion and an opportunity to especially encourage, affirm, celebrate, and just embrace the women in our lives, in our workplaces, in our various sectors, in our communities, and in our country. So whereas the global theme is accelerate action for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment, our national activities will take place. You know, Jamaicans won't always have to be different. We have a local theme, and that local theme is a celebration of Jamaican women. And there is much that we have to celebrate, even as we are keenly aware of the many obstacles that still prevent many women from achieving their potential. You can tell a great deal about a country by the way it treats its women and its children. The status that they occupy in the hierarchy of the society is usually a good indicator of whether the country is progressive or backward. If a country is oppressive or caring, if a government is oppressive or caring, what can we say about Jamaica? Speaking as someone who has been a soldier in this battle for gender equality, I can attest to many successes in our long struggle. Things have changed for women and girls, particularly under this administration. In so many ways, we see the fruit of our collective work to create a nation that values women and girls and enables them to achieve their potential and contribute to nation building in any way they choose. In Jamaica today, a young girl is free to make her choices and to live as a liberated, confident woman, whether she wants to be the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, any other cabinet minister, the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Public Defender, the Head of the Army, the Cabinet Secretary. A young woman in Jamaica today, under this administration, can aspire towards any leadership position in our country. But more than that, she has seen women of distinction in these leadership positions during the last few years. We have demonstrated that not only have we broken the glass ceiling, but we kicked down the door, right? I'm proud that more women are being empowered to offer themselves as representatives, and that more and more of them, on my side, are being elected. And I should tell you, in my young days, my early years, I felt that representative politics or representational politics divide. And I did not want to be a member of parliament or an elected representative, because I just felt that the political divide. And then, after doing a lot of work in the community where I grew up and other communities, I realized that if you do not have a seat at the table, you do not have a voice. And so I'm encouraging women out there, go contest a seat and get your seat at the table. It's important when you do so. Doesn't mean you can't serve any other way, but trust me, when you have a seat at the table, it makes a difference. And for example, for Senator Johnson Smith, I see her one day going out there and being elected. She has that steel-like focus that you need as an elected representative. So I'm proud that there are more women today that are making decisions in the boardrooms, particularly in government where board membership must comprise at least 30% of either gender. Increasing the number of women decision makers at the highest levels is essential for ensuring equality, raising the visibility of women's issues, and working towards solutions. We all benefit when women and men work together to deal with our various challenges. And this is why I led the initiative, and along with my colleague, women parliamentarians, we introduced a caucus of women parliamentarians comprising representatives from both houses and from both sides of the divide. I'm proud of women's achievement in education, but we need more women to pursue science, technology, engineering, and maths. I'm grateful for their contribution to the culture, entertainment, and the arts, health, entrepreneurship, and for being the rock on which successful families are built right across our country. But many women need assistance to establish and maintain successful businesses. And that is why this government gives special support to several women and women-owned businesses through the Women's Entrepreneurship Support Program, which we call the WEST program. We all know that when an adolescent gets pregnant, we can be sure that a formidable combination of relatives, institutions, social and cultural norms will conspire to blame the girl and block her path forward. And that is why we have expanded the Women's Center of Jamaica Foundation and the program for adolescent mothers to equip them with the skills to be good parents and to help them to continue their education. Some of these girls, there was an 11-year-old girl, and her grandfather got her pregnant. That's the kind of situation we have to deal with at the Women's Center of Jamaica Foundation. That institution is doing a tremendous job, and we have 14 such centers across the island. We're happy that the vast majority of the participants in the program do not have a second child in their teenage years, and that many of them embrace the chance to continue their education and are contributing to nation building in their respective ways. In the last few years, we have established a new Women's Center location in St. Elizabeth, and we have expanded the location in Manchester. And we are finalizing plans, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the Prime Minister, for the center in St. Thomas to be expanded and renovated, and for us to get a new dorm and a new nursery. And this is being done through Factories Corporation. We must empower women in all circumstances. We must show care. This government cares, and we must be our sister's keeper. We have sought to embrace, to introduce and amend legislation to protect the rights of our women and our men through the Sexual Harassment Protection and Prevention Act. And it was brought into operation on July 2023. It is a game-changing piece of legislation that will provide relief for those enduring the harmful effects of sexual harassment and hopefully cause a culture change. I want to use the opportunity at this time to announce the Sexual Harassment Tribunal, which Cabinet approved 2 Mondays ago. And the executive membership, Mr. Ferdinand Algernon Smith, retired Court of Appeal judge, and he's the chairperson. Ms. Indira Persad, attorney at law, deputy chair, and Mrs. Karen Campbell Basco, attorney at law, also deputy chair. The additional members, Kadria Folks, Ms. Kadria Folks, attorney at law, Mrs. Debian Brown Salmon, attorney at law, Ms. Camille Lee, JP Supreme Court mediator, Ms. Karen Thompson Wilson, senior legal officer, Jane Group, an attorney at law, and she's mediator, Ms. Claire Pamela Miller, Supreme Court and Parish Court mediator, Mr. Kevin A. Campbell, Supreme Court mediator, Mr. Donald Roberts, CD, JP Industrial Relations Consultant, Ms. Shanique Rose Clacken, Corporate Service Manager, Assistant Company Secretary, Wigton with Wyndham Farm, and attorney at law. Mr. Junior A. Latibadair, Senior Industrial Relations Officer, Jamaica Civil Service Association. Dr. Merrick Dale Walker, JP, President, East Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and Reverend Dr. Devin Merrick Dick, Pastor, Boulevard Baptist Church. So these are the members who have been appointed to the Sexual Harassment Tribunal. I, of course, recognize that there is a time constraint here, but I just want to indicate that the law also provides for the establishment of Sexual Harassment Tribunal, as I mentioned earlier, to hear undetermined complaints and to make awards. And today I'm happy that the Cabinet did approve the tribunal. We're also strengthening the Domestic Violence Act, which came into effect last year when we made some amendments. And we are now reviewing the legislation through a joint select committee that was appointed by Parliament. We had to extend, we invited submissions, and we had to extend the period to receive submissions because surprisingly, the various organizations that sometimes are very articulate and very vocal in criticizing the government did not respond on time. But we will be meeting in March, and by then, those submissions would have been received. So, as I wrap, I just want to say that the portfolio of gender is one that touches everyone. It touches men, it touches women. We are now about to establish our third center in Western Jamaica. We have one in Eastern Jamaica, we have one in Central part of Jamaica, and now the center in the West. And that center will also have a transition facility so that once the survivor, we're not calling them victims, the survivor has reached a point where she can go out in the society, we will assist by moving her into the transition facility until she's able to be on her own. As I wrap, I want to tell you a story. We recently had the Jamaica Creative Expo for sixth form students and students at the tertiary level who wanted careers or want careers in the creative industry. At the end of the event, there was a young miss sitting there, and I said to one of my staff members, go find out what is wrong, because everybody has left and she's sitting there. Only to find out that this young miss lost her mother at the age of 5. She was living with her father. At the age of 11, she ran away because she was being abused. She ended up in the homestead home for safety. When she got to the age of 18, she had to leave. She had nowhere to go. So she ended up living with a man. And during that time, she was constantly abused. She had scars all over her forehead. And then she decided, this is it. I'm leaving this situation. And she ended up on the streets. She's walking past the Pegasus Hotel where the event is being held. And she saw this man, and she's saying to this man, I need some money because I'm hungry. The man said to her, you see over there, I see a lot of young people going into the Pegasus, and I hear that Miss Babsy over there. Go in there and see if they can help you. And so she came to the function just in time that she could have lunch. She sat there, and at the end of it, she said she knew that somebody would notice that she was there. My staff member went and spoke to her and came back to me and said, this young miss is living on the streets. She's being abused and she has nowhere to go. It was really a sad situation. You hear about period poverty? She was also experiencing that. And so I reached out to Mrs. Robinson, who's here with us this morning, from the Bureau of Gender Affairs. And after doing what we had to do, we were able to get her in a safe space. And she's now in a safe space. That is the work we do, and that is the work that this government is promoting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. International Women's Day on March 8th. We will celebrate. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Grange, and what a powerful story to end with. I'm going to not delay any longer. We have with us our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and I now invite him to the podium to speak at this special postcab celebrating the women of Cabinet and all Jamaican women.
Any podium? Let me use this one. Honorable ministers, members of the press, distinguished guests who are here, the women of our country. Today we come together to celebrate the strength and resilience of Jamaican women on International Women's Day. And it's more than just the courtesy recognition. It is truly a reaffirmation of the commitment of the government to women. It is a demonstration of the progress that the nation has made, particularly by supporting and empowering women. And as Prime Minister, I am proud to stand at the helm of a government that recognizes the vital contributions of women to the success of our country. I'm especially proud of the women that serve in my cabinet, 5 women, and I believe that would be the most ever in any cabinet. And the women who serve as members of parliament in the parliament, and forgive me if I point out that the Jamaica Labour Party has 11 members of parliament, and I believe that would have been the most women serving in parliament at any time in our history. We note as well that 38% of the Senate are women. Yes. I don't mean to brag, but I have appointed the first cabinet secretary, who is a woman, the first female minister of foreign affairs, the first female minister of finance, and of course, the first head of the armed forces of Jamaica, and only one of two internationally. These women are leaders, decision makers, and trailblazers. And they have done an amazing job in uplifting people. Their dedication and service inspires us all, proving that when women lead, we move forward. But all of them have done their jobs, not because they are women. They have done their jobs because they are smart, intelligent, courageous, innovative. So it's not about their gender. It's about their capabilities. And what this administration has done is to remove any barrier that would stand in the way of capability. If you are capable, it matters not your gender. Once you have the capability to do the job, you will have a fair chance at that job. But today is also the day where we recognize peace and love in school. Yes, today is a peace day. And I believe there is a useful intersection between women and peace. Don't you think? Yes. Of course. Of course. You know, women are often peacemakers. And in our homes, in our communities, and in our nation. They are the ones who teach our children the values of respect, unity, and love. They are the voices that calm storms, the hands that heal wounds, and the hearts that bring people together. So as we celebrate the achievement of women today, let us also recognize that their empowerment is not just a woman's issue. It is a national priority. When women thrive, families are stronger. And when women are empowered, communities are safer and more peaceful. My fellow Jamaicans, especially our strong and courageous women of our country, today I speak to you not just as Prime Minister, but as a fellow Jamaican who recognizes the vital role that women play in shaping the nation. Our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and sisters. You know, I often joke that I could never have been a bad boy because I grew up knowing my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, who left me at 16, she passed. And my grandmother when I was in my 30s. And my mother is still with me. So I had three mothers. I could not depart from the right path. And, you know, our women, they form the backbone of our families, and their influence reaches far beyond the home. But we must confront a harsh reality. Crime and violence continues to plague our communities, and too many of our young men